Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the program on this Tuesday, August 25th. Coming to you live from our studio in Seoul, I'm Shin Se-min. And before we begin, these are the stories we're following at this hour. The cumulative number of COVID-19 patients in South Korea over the past 10 days has almost reached 3,000, forcing all schools in capital region to shift to all online classes until September. Amid all this, high school seniors have just 100 more days to go before they take what's seen as one of the most important tests of their lives, the College Scholastic Ability Test, or CSAT. The 8th tropical storm of the season is picking up strength as it makes its way towards the Korean peninsula. The resort island of Jeju will be under its direct influence this evening. K-pop sensations BTS are blowing up the charts with their latest single, Dynamite. It's the group's highest placement yet on the pop songs radio chart, and 3 days since its release, the group's first all-English record is a serious hit at pop radio stations across the U.S., and it's just getting started. South Korea confirmed 266 new COVID-19 cases on Monday alone for the 11th straight day of triple-digit increase. And during that period, there has been nearly 3,000 new cases in total, and it has the authorities on high alert. Our Choi Jung-yun leading us off.
South Korea continues to see a surge in COVID-19 infections on Monday, reporting 266 new cases. Though it's a decrease from the 300 or more seen on each of the last 3 days, the daily increase has been in the triple digits for 11 days in a row. During that period, the total number of cases has reached almost 3,000.
The infections right now are centered on the area near Seoul, but they're spreading nationwide through churches, gatherings, door-to-door sales, as well as restaurants, cafes, and workplaces.
Out of 258 local transmissions on Monday, more than 200 were in or near the capital. Seoul on Monday saw 97 cases, the most of any region. Next highest was Gyeonggi-do province with 84, while the city of Incheon reported 20 cases. Among the cases in Seoul, about 37% had no clear origin. That compares to about 22% in the past week, and at some points prior to the surge, almost none. As for when it ends, the investment bank JP Morgan is predicting that this new wave will lead to around 7,000 new cases, reaching a peak at the end of this month before subsiding by early November. By the end of the year, that would be a total of around 25,000. A former director of KCDC says that's a realistic scenario.
7,000 more cases by the end of the year is plausible. After autumn, there could be a sharp rise in the number of people with respiratory infections like cold and flu. That will make quarantine harder because they'll be mixed up with COVID-19 patients.
The report said the resurgence of cases is largely due to the easing of social distancing this summer, as well as the mass resumption of economic activity. Choi Jung-yun, Arirang News.
And President Moon Jae-in chaired a cabinet meeting this morning under tightened social distancing rules. Members of the cabinet, including Prime Minister Chung Se-kyun, joined through a video conference from the Seoul government complex. And participants at the Blue House were also spaced out and had plexiglass shields between them. And the president likely calls on officials to cooperate on virus prevention efforts and to consider preemptive measures to prevent a prolonged economic downturn amid a spike in new COVID-19 cases. And we'll have more details in our later newscast. South Korea's college entrance exam is exactly 100 days away from this Tuesday. But for students preparing for the most important test of their lives, the conditions are far from ideal. Already delayed due to the COVID-19 pandemic, parents are pressuring local education authorities to rethink their plans again. And amid all this, South Korean government said it will move all schools in the capital Seoul region and surrounding areas online until September 11th. Our Han Sung-woo explains.
The College Scholastic Ability Test, also known as Suneung in South Korea, is a stressful time of year as it is for local high school students desperately hoping to enter the university of their dreams. However, in 2020, the conditions are vastly different. the test takers themselves are not the only ones anxious of what will pan out over the next 100 days. South Korea's education sector has been ravaged by the socioeconomic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. In March, the annual exam was postponed by the Ministry of Education for 2 weeks from its original November 19th date to December 3rd. On top of that, delays to the start of the school year and remote learning have all contributed to mass confusion for students and teachers. And now that cluster infections concentrated in the Seoul metropolitan area have driven the number of new daily cases into the hundreds, the Education Ministry has announced that all schools in the capital area will go remote from Wednesday until September 11th, leading parents to worry about whether their children will be able to focus on their studies in the comfort of their own home and away from their teachers.
I've been going back and forth over whether or not to send my children to a private institute over fears that they could fall behind when not at school.
Students are also unable to take advantage of private education as institutes are under pressure to stop operations as well. Considering all the setbacks, some are calling for the Education Ministry to delay the exam again and even adjust its difficulty level. For now at least, the ministry says it's still aiming for December 3rd. 한성우, Arirang News.
South Korean auto parts maker, the Mando Corporation, is joining forces with NASA to develop ventilators for COVID-19 patients. The firm said it was selected as a partner by NASA, becoming the only Asian firm to collaborate on the project. Mando will take part in NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory's Ventilator Intervention Technology Accessible Locally project, aimed at ensuring the steady supply of ventilators during this time of pandemic. And the South Korean firm is known for its expertise in redundancy technology, namely to automatically fix malfunctions. With the Republican National Convention underway, the race for the White House is officially on. It is now between President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. Upon the opening of the convention, over 25 former Republican lawmakers announced that they will be voting for the Democratic nominee. Our Chang Tae-hyun with more.
The Republican Party has officially nominated President Trump for a second term in the White House. 336 delegates participated in Monday's roll call vote from a Charlotte Convention Center ballroom in North Carolina. It makes it official that the presidential race on November 3rd will be between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. The convention comes as 27 former Republicans announced Monday that they're endorsing Biden for president. Among them, former Arizona Senator Jeff Flake said he would vote for Biden because he's concerned about the current president's corruption, destruction of democracy, blatant disregard of moral decency, and the urgent need to get U.S. back on course. He added that Biden will approach with the constitutional role with the reverence and dignity it deserves. According to Real Clear Politics survey conducted between early to mid-August, Biden has a 50% approval rating, a 7.6-point lead over President Trump. President Trump is focused on boosting the economy and getting students back to school, while Biden is concentrating on containing the spread of COVID-19 and even considering whether to put the country on lockdown if necessary. Mail-in voting is another hot issue, but President Trump is rallying hard against it.
We have to be very careful because they're trying it again with this whole 80 million mail-in ballots that they're working on, sending them out to people that didn't ask for them. They didn't ask, they just get them.
As polls show more Democratic voters than Republican voters are concerned about COVID-19, the ability for them to mail in their votes could give Biden a boost in the polls. Chang Tae-hyun, Arirang News.
U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Stephen Biegun will be visiting Russia, Lithuania, and Ukraine this week for talks related to the ongoing turmoil in Belarus, as well as for discussions on North Korea. According to the State Department, Biegun's trip to the three countries will involve discussing a range of regional and international issues, including the massive social unrest across Belarus after a widely contested election result. Biden is also expected to discuss North Korea issues during his stay in Russia. While speculation swirls over North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's possibly failing health, Began insisted that there is no credible evidence to back up such rumors. K-pop superstars BTS have broken yet another record. Their first all-English language single, called The Dynamite, has debuted in the U.S. Billboard Pop Songs radio chart. And The Dynamite, released last Friday, ranked in the top 30 after being broadcast on the radio in the U.S. over 2,300 times. It is the best Billboard debut for BTS in terms of their radio chart. And Dynamite, an upbeat disco pop song with all English lyrics, has caught the attention of a wider range of fans. Attention is also on where it'll rank on the Billboard Hot 100 that comes out next week. Back here in the country, even before fully recovering from the longest rainy season on record this summer, the Korean Peninsula is bracing for a powerful typhoon that could cause severe damage to property and infrastructure nationwide. Our Kim Hyo-sun with more.
South Korea is bracing for Typhoon Bavi, which could grow to be one of the strongest to hit the country in years. The country's weather agency said Monday that the season's 8th tropical storm, formed off the east coast of Taiwan, is forecast to pass the west coast of Jeju Island Wednesday afternoon and likely travel up the country's west coast, reaching close to Seoul by early Thursday. It is then expected to pass northeast of Pyongyang on Friday afternoon before dying out near Harbin, China. As of Monday afternoon, the typhoon was around the northwestern coast of Okinawa, Japan, advancing at a speed of 12 kilometers an hour. With a maximum wind speed of 115 kilometers an hour and an atmospheric pressure of 975 hectopascals at its center, Bavi was initially categorized as a small, middle-intensity typhoon. However, it gained strength late Monday, developing into middle in size and strong in intensity. It is expected to develop into a very strong typhoon before it reaches Jeju, weakening to strong the next day. Strong winds and rain are forecast for Chungcheongdo province and the Seoul metropolitan area.
As the Korean Peninsula lies at the right side of the expected course of the typhoon, which is deemed most dangerous, it's difficult to forecast the potential damage. Heavy wind and rain are forecast for South Korea.
As the country is still reeling from the aftermath of the longest rainy season on record, the government has raised its alert level against the typhoon from attention to caution and has opened a central disaster response team. Kim Hyo-sun, Arirang News.
Good morning. We need to stay alert on the 8th typhoon of the season, Bavi. Strengthened typhoon is likely to direct effect to Jeju Island from tonight and will pass the west of Jeju Wednesday afternoon and move closer to Seoul early Thursday before making landfall in North Korea's Hwanghae-do province later the same day. Jeju Island could see up to 500 millimeters of torrential rains when the typhoon passes the area, along with strong winds of up to 60 meters per second to Jeju and southwestern coastal areas in Jeollado provinces. A typhoon advisory has been issued for waters of Jeju. High seas advisories in south and parts of West Sea for now, but will expand as the typhoon gets closer. But in the meantime, the heat continues today. Heat wave alerts are in place nationwide. The late summer heat continues with a chance of pasting showers during the day, so have a small umbrella with you. Well, storm is coming. Stay tuned for updates and be safe. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the weather conditions around the world.
And just an update on the latest COVID-19 situation here in South Korea. Moments ago, local authorities have confirmed that the country has added a total of 280 new coronavirus cases on Monday alone, of which 264 being local transmission. Now, that's the second consecutive day that since the country has added new numbers of the 200s of new coronavirus cases. And over the past 2 weeks alone, South Korea added a total of 3,110 new COVID-19 cases. And that's where we're going to leave things off at this hour, but we'll be back with more of the day's headlines coming up at noon Korea time, so do join us again then. Thanks for watching, and goodbye for now.